Hello, this is Ken Ferry with this week's Boots in the Field report. Been a busy time doing our second round of grower meetings and a lot of yield maps. There's been a lot of activity in the past 2 weeks in the field. Many growers are pulling on spring anhydrous ammonia as well as getting some field work done. In some areas, the growers are having trouble getting the anhydrous to seal, where you can smell the ammonia hours after the application. This anhydrous is moving in the soil, looking for water to hook up with, to convert from ammonia gas to ammonium. In some situations, it's making it to the surface before it finds enough water and is lost to the atmosphere. That depends on the rate of anhydrous being injected and how dry your soils are. Get out and check to be sure you're sealing. Put your nose to the ground, right over the knife track. You should not smell ammonia. Don't apply a whole field before you check. In these dry conditions, be careful running too close to the homesteads. I've seen anhydrous ammonia move sideways underground 3 or 4 feet in these dry conditions, burning lawns and small trees close to the edge of the field. You may have to go deeper and or reduce the rate to get it to seal. I've been asked, if you can smell anhydrous ammonia 3 hours after application, how much did you lose? No one can answer that. You'll need to pull nitrates later in the season to assess the losses. If it is sealing, I like getting it on this early. It takes away some of the threat of anhydrous burn on corn in the spring. Now, with that said, I've seen February anhydrous burn, especially in strip till. It is rare and scary to be this dry in February. In many areas, it's dry enough to level fall-tilled ground. If your fall tillage left you with peaks and valleys deeper than 3 inches, you'll need to level these fields before you can apply your herbicide, or you'll end up streaking the herbicide because you're getting it too deep. If it's dry enough to level these fields without putting in compaction or wheel track issues, now would be a good time to level them up. This will give you more options later if this drought doesn't break. I know next week's forecast finally looks like some drought relief might be coming, but in many areas we're 9 to 12 inches behind, and this is going to be hard to catch up in the 40 days that we have before planting. Level ground will allow you to plant in a sterile seed bed if you need to conserve water. It gives you time to get the soil moisture more homogenized. If we don't break this drought, leveling these fields a day before planting, where you throw the dry peak into the valley and plant your seeds in the dry soil, will cause streaks in your stand. Getting reports from guys running chisel plows saying the soil is flowing like sugar, that's another sign of how dry it is. Some guys are finishing up what they didn't get done last fall. Many are leveling fields that got tiled last fall. Our recommendation on spring chiseling is to fit these fields in a matter of hours, especially if it's working up cloddy. You need to shatter the clods and level the field before these clods dry out. With very little freezing and thaw cycles left, these clods will be here for keeps, and the seed bed will suffer. Some of these hybrid chisels are laying it down so nice, you may not have to have a leveling pass behind them. But the fields that are coming up cloddy, don't wait too long to run your secondary pass to fit these fields and level them up. Once they turn into dried clods, it's a gift that keeps on giving. A lot of guys are top dressing wheat or thinking about it. I'm not convinced this wheat crop is going to make it. It shows no sign of life. Time will tell what our winter kill issues look like. We've had some nasty cold temperatures and a lot of it was without any snow cover to protect it. Fall growth was poor due to the drought. If your plan is to go to corn if your wheat winter kills, my advice is get her top dressed. It's dormant, that'll keep you from burning it, and it's dry enough we won't have to deal with wheel tracks. If you're going to beans if your wheat fails, I would wait with the top dressing until we're sure this wheat's going to be worth keeping. Now you may have to switch to dry urea to keep from burning the wheat. Another option is to dig up some of the wheat, put it in a pan, water it, put it in your windowsill. In about 4 days, you'll notice it greening up if it's still alive. Some growers have asked, with the persistence of this drought, what I think about buying up higher level crop insurance than pulling back on crop inputs that it takes to raise these high yields and count on insurance. While the drought condition is becoming a concern, and we're so far behind in groundwater that a few inches is not going to fix it, my advice is never plan for a drought. If we do have a drought in parts or all of the Midwest, markets will rally, and you don't want to miss out on the opportunity to participate in the higher prices. While I don't plan for a drought, I do think we should always try to mitigate risk. So be selective in your hybrid selection. Put defensive hybrids on defensive soils, those that are more drought prone. Defensive hybrids are usually taller in nature, more pendulum in leaf structure. Pull your populations back in those defensive fields to a point where you can still reach the 97% light capture. Break your hybrids up into early, mid, and late maturities. Plant your early ones first, finish with your full season ones. This keeps some separation in your pollination window, so your whole crop isn't trying to pollinate at the same time in that 100-degree week or 4 days of fog. Don't do any recreational tillage. Save all the water you can. Leave the vertical harrows in the shed and no-till into the bean stubble. Many of you seeded rye cover crops in the fall by air and by ground that did not catch. Growers have asked, with no covers, whether they'll need a burn down in their pre-emerge herbicide. This rye will germinate this spring, and yes, you will need to kill it. It won't get as big and it won't head out, but you will need to have a plan to deal with it. In fields that went down last year due to disease issues, have a plan for volunteer corn. The ears on the ground have been preserved well with these drought conditions. Most look like they did last fall when they hit the ground. Going to beans, plan on a couple shots of corn killer. Fields going to corn on corn, have a plan on how you're going to manage your volunteer corn. Last year's non-GMO fields are easier. You have more options. You can switch to a GMO corn, allowing you to spray out the volunteer corn. Going to a non-GMO corn for the premium, where GMO corn went down last year, can be a train wreck. Not only will the volunteer corn wreak havoc with your crop and make hard to get out, but it could contaminate your non-GMO corn, kicking you out of the premium. Let's hope next week's forecast is right and we start clawing our way out of this hole. Spring testing is off and running, so don't forget to turn in your spring testing needs, especially those of you that want your Section 180s. We need to get them tested before we apply the spring fertilizer. To stay up to date, check out our website at croptechinc.com and subscribe to our podcast, Boots in the Field Report. Keep her safe, keep her moving.